My best friend says that my fiancé admitted feelings for her. He denies it. So I've been with my fiancé since I was 17, together for 10 years. And I've been best friends with my friend since we were 8. Generally, they've gotten on fine throughout that time, until a few years ago when my friend picked me up after a few drinks one night. I hadn't known that she was buzzed, and we got in a wreck. We were both fine, but he thinks that she's responsible, so he's just been very formal polite to her since then. When she comes to visit me, he goes into the other room to play video games or something. Anyways, about 2 weeks ago, she texted me and asked me to get lunch with her. I met up with her, and she tells me that my fiancé told her that he had feelings for her and wanted them to be together, but she told him no. I was obviously upset and asked when this happened, where, did he message her, can I see the message, etc. She immediately got really angry with me, accusing me of not believing her when we've been friends for so long. I asked that she at least tell me where and when this happened, even if there is no proof, and she refused, saying that if after all this time of friendship that I won't believe her, that I'm better off being with a dirty cheater, and stormed off before the food even got to the table. I went home to talk to my fiancé about it, really upset of course. He seemed genuinely confused about the accusation, or at least that's what I could tell, and asked when she's saying that this happened, since he's very rarely around her. The only time he ever sees her is if he walks through the living room to get food from the kitchen before going back to his office, and he's never been in the house with her alone. I admitted that she wouldn't tell me because she thinks that I should just believe her. I brought that up because he could have messaged her it, and he immediately handed me his phone and told me if looking through the phone would help, then go ahead. I went through the whole thing and honestly found nothing. They're not even friends on any social media. He doesn't have any weird extra texting apps, no contacts that are weird in his phone. He does have her number in his phone, but there's no messages to her or any calls to or from her. He's also been working from home. I do all of our shopping/running around, so only one of us has to go out. We have security cameras at our place, so her dropping by without the system giving my phone an alert that there was a person is unlikely. So unless he texted her and then immediately deleted it, so she'd have proof, I'd assume, he happened to run into her the 1 or 2 times that he's been out in the last year, or he raced out of his office to proclaim his love to her while I was in the bathroom, I have no clue where this could have happened. So I'm inclined to believe him. Seeing as we've been together for 10 years, I can't think of when this would have happened, and she won't tell me anything else. Our mutual friends are divided. Some saying that it's suspect she won't tell me anything, but others saying as her best friend, I should believe her because there's no reason for her to lie, whereas my fiancé would have a reason to if he did it. I don't know what to believe at this point. My friend is still completely shut down on me. I called her trying to talk about it, but she told me not to contact her again unless I believe her, and then hung up on me. My fiancé has been completely open about everything. Part of me is wondering if she's lying because she knows he doesn't like her from what happened a few years ago and is trying to break us up. Then part of me is wondering if he really did text her that and that she is telling the truth and being difficult for no apparent reason. Any advice on how to handle this? In the comments, OP responds to a long comment regarding her best friend's behavior towards her fiancé after the accident and having no proof. OP says, "Oh God, that sounds awful. I can't say that she acts like me or anything, but since the accident, she's brought up him acting weird around her, mentioning how he always goes to the other room, barely talks to her, etc., when prior to the accident, he would go out with us. We would all watch movies together or anything else. She eventually picked up that he was mad at her and that he seemed bitter about it since. But I'd thought that she let it go since she was still going to be in the wedding and I still spend a lot of time with her. I hadn't put any thought into her possibly having any feelings for him. I thought at most she was mad at him for being mad at her over the accident. Prior to the accident, she got along well with him, told me that she thought he was a good guy. After the accident, she would mention him being grumpy, blaming her for no reason, not understanding that people make mistakes, etc., since he didn't just forgive her like I did. It really does sound like your friend made it up. It's obvious that in a situation like that, when she told you, you would have been shocked and wanted more information, and if she was telling the truth, she would have done all she could to absolutely make you certain about it, because a fiancé cheating is obviously a big deal. Also, what makes the story so improbable is that if he doesn't even like her character, they don't talk, nor do they have a good friendship, at most he could have wanted to have sex with her but not told her that he had feelings for her. Like what? When a boyfriend cheats, usually it's because of physical attraction that maybe if the cheating continues, can then develop into feelings. But I've only ever heard about a few specific cases like this. But it was when a guy confessed to her freaking best friend of 10 years, rather than some woman who got my girlfriend in an accident. OP replies, yeah, like honestly, if it happened prior to the accident, I think I would have been more likely to believe her, since we all hung out together, and they both said good things about each other. Since the accident, he's made it clear to me that he didn't even want to be around her, but tolerated her because I care about her. But part of me started questioning if he was only saying all that as some sort of cover because he has had feelings. But that feels like I'm just overthinking at this point. Another commenter says, just my thoughts on this, but if she was telling you the truth, she'd easily give you details. The fact that she got angry right away and insisted that you should believe her after giving you news that would have been a total shock to you is insane. To me, it sounds like she decided to lie when you went to question her. She panicked and got mad. If I had to lay a bet, she isn't giving details because it never happened. She probably knows that he doesn't leave the house. You would know if she was there. Texting would leave evidence, which she doesn't have, and she hasn't been in the house or room alone with him for longer than 40 seconds. OP says, honestly, that makes the most sense of this mess. I don't know why she would lie, really. Whether it's she had feelings for him that I never knew about, or is just mad at him for being mad at her, but I guess the reason why doesn't matter in how I should handle this. OP explains more about the car accident incident that caused the rift between her fiancé and her best friend. So we had planned that she would pick me up and I would spend the night at her place since we wanted to have a movie night / have a few drinks. And my fiancé and I only had the one car at the time. She showed up to pick me up and I got in the car knowing that she'd already had a couple of drinks before getting there. On the way back to her place, she suddenly veered off the road and smashed into a tree. Luckily, neither of us were badly hurt, but her car was totaled. People whose yard it was called the police, and some cars stopped to check on us. She was arrested for driving intoxicated, and the ambulance that showed up took me to the hospital to look over since I did have some cuts and the airbags had went off. So my fiancé had to come pick me up from the hospital in the middle of the night. And since then, he's made it clear that he doesn't want to be around her, thinks that she's irresponsible, and only tolerates her because I forgave her. He says he can't forgive her because she could have killed us both. She thinks he doesn't understand that people make mistakes, and that it isn't fair to blame her for the whole thing since the road was slippery. And in the end, we were fine. This whole thing is just a big load of baloney from her. OP, I know that she's been your friend for a long time, but maybe consider slowly distancing yourself from someone like that. I don't think they're good for you at all. I don't think she should be in your life. I think you should phase her out and find new, better people to surround yourself with. Because this is all just a big bunch of bullshit, if you ask me. That's my honest-to-God read of the situation. You just need to get rid of her and move on with your life. And now, onto the update. Well, I woke up the morning after the post and hadn't expected that many responses. I sat and read them all, and it was pretty unanimous that she was lying for some reason. And if she wasn't lying, she was being a crap friend for how she went about this. Some comments also really made me realize how much shit my fiancé has had to go through because of her presence in my life. So I woke him up, and I told him that I believed him, and I apologized for letting this drag on like I did. I took the advice of someone and made a group chat minus the now ex-best friend and sent them the post and just asked that they read it. Most of them sort of waffled until one said, had she not known either of us, it would be obvious who was lying, and they all agreed that it was too suspect. One of them called me shortly after, asking me to meet up with her to talk, so I did. She's the one closest to the ex-best friend other than myself. She basically told me ex-best friend has been complaining about my fiancé for like half a year to her. About how he's still mad, how he must be trying to make me spend less time with her, that I'm going to marry someone that is actively trying to tear us apart as friends. She was able to show me some texts where ex-best friend was saying those sorts of things, and one of her in her maid of honor dress with a text saying, "My dress for the funeral of our friendship." Then leading up to now, where friend was asking her if it was true, and she was snapping at her too through texts to stop questioning her. And it doesn't matter if she is lying anyway. Friend said that she hadn't reached out to me prior because she thought after the wedding, ex-best friend would realize that it wasn't as bad as she thought it was going to be. And then when all of this happened, she didn't think those texts were proof enough to show me and nuke our relationship. But the post made her feel bad for not showing me them. So she gave me some of the screenshots, and I went to ex-best friend's apartment myself to talk to her. She let me in, and I asked her if she had anything to tell me before we went any further. She doubled down that she refuses to give me details, repeating the same stuff. So I told her I knew she was lying and had proof she was. I showed her the screenshots that I had, which she accused other friend of photoshopping to make her look bad. Once I told her that I read them in person off of friend's phone, she started going on about how everyone is trying to tear up our friendship after the accident and how it isn't fair on her. I told her that maybe if she apologized and tried to make changes in her life, instead of insisting for years that it's not her fault and then coming up with this lie, maybe none of that would have happened. I told her that even had she been telling the truth, the way that she chose to tell me and make this some shitty loyalty test, instead of her telling me some of the most devastating news of my life, shows me that she isn't a good friend to me. I forgave the accident because I cared for her and took it as a mistake, but obviously that care doesn't go both ways. I told her not to contact me again, and that I told friend group of everything going on, sent them the screenshots, and that they can make their own decisions on who they do and don't want to spend time with based on the information they have. But I won't be seeing her again. I will be blocking her on everything, and to not attempt to fix this because it's unforgivable. I still feel mentally and emotionally drained from all of this, but there's also a massive weight lifted off of my shoulders. As for the wedding, instead of choosing another friend in this group, I asked my fiancé's little sister to be my maid of honor, and she's very excited. Fiancé is also relieved that he doesn't have to deal with ex-best friend anymore, and says he is just happy that it's all settled. As for the rest of my friends, the one that showed me the texts, I'm not going to stay in contact with her either, since she hid all of this and only showed me out of guilt. The others, I guess I'll see how it goes. Edit. About the friend who told me. Maybe in time I can move past this, but right now, I can't really look at her. It's not just that she didn't tell me right away, I just feel uncomfortable. I would spend time with the two of them a lot, and to know that there was conversations about my fiancé, the wedding, the relationship, and our friendship going on between them like that, yeah. The maid of honor dress photo, I'm literally next to her in the picture. She knew best friend had these feelings so strongly, was my maid of honor, and essentially hated my partner at this point. And then when best friend told the whole friend group that this situation, and they all came at me about not believing her and having to explain my side, and only half of them listened to me, she was one of the ones that said that I should listen to best friend, when she knew all of the stuff that she had been saying and essentially confessing to her that it was a lie. She didn't do anything herself, but she watched it all happen until she felt too guilty. And right now, that just hurts, and I'm not sure that I want her in my life. In the comments, I get why you feel the way you do. I've been where you are right now, but whatever you do, do not shoot the messenger. Could she have reached out sooner? Yes, of course. But when she realized how serious this situation actually was, she reached out to you. It must have been one of the hardest things that she ever had to do, because she knew that her aground would have a very serious impact on two of her friends and their continuing relationship. Ultimately, she showed you where her loyalty lay, with you and doing the right thing. By all means, take some time and distance to think about things, but don't go cutting people off just yet. You are, of course, hurt by your ex-best friend and her actions. But try not to take that pain out on other friends. Take some time, hang out with your guy, watch some movies, and then in a few days, reevaluate where things stand. OP replies, I made a comment about this a little higher up, but essentially right now, I'm just too hurt by it all to really look at her. That she knew the feelings best friend was having, knew this happened, and was one of the friends in the text group originally that said that I should listen to best friend. Right now, I just feel like she didn't tell me until she felt guilty, and that hurts. I'm glad she told me, and it did help. She had to do something tough to even tell me, but it hurt. Maybe in time. You're right, I need at least a few days to really take all this in. Another commenter asks, what did ex-bestie say when confronted with the irrefutable truth? Did she admit to lying or try to continue the charade? OP says, she admitted it once I told her I saw the messages on other friends' phone directly and then tried to blame the reason for her doing it on people trying to wreck our friendship. Another commenter says, think about how difficult it must be to be the friend that showed you. I mean, it happens often that doing the right thing can backfire, and it's a tough decision to make to end a friendship. Tough situation, I get it, but at the end of the day, she should have told you much earlier. I don't blame you for wanting to put distance between yourself and that friend, because what she did caused a lot of heartache by her inaction. She had the ability to cut this off way sooner. If she had a backbone, if she had a spine, she would have told you as soon as this quote-unquote best friend of yours started running her mouth like that. Definitely cut that ex-best friend out of your life completely and go very low contact with this messenger. What she did was the correct thing, but it came too late. I know there's a don't shoot the messenger thing, but I think the messenger also deserves consequences in this situation. These people don't sound good for you, OP. Good luck going forward. Those are not friends that I would keep in my life personally, but you do you. Our next post is by user OKMolasses, and it's titled, Wife fed me a little white lie, and I don't know how to react. I need to set the stage a bit for this one, so thanks to all that stick it out and offer to help. My wife and I have been married for 7 years and together for 10. We are both avid motorcyclists and spend quite a bit of time riding, although often separately. She prefers to go out riding late at night on the weekends, and for a while, got in the habit of not checking in with me. I imagine any husband whose wife is out on a bike at midnight would worry and has every right to ask where she might be. We got into a lot of fights about this, and it seemed very difficult for her to want to keep her whereabouts known. She claimed I was smothering her and being excessively needy by having to know where she was all the time. We worked through it, but I was never really content with how she begrudgingly followed suit, like it was some kind of a chore to keep me posted about where she was and when she might be home. I brought this up in therapy, and even our therapist raised her eyebrow at the late-night rides with no check-in. Still, my wife never seemed to see the problem. Fast forward to a few weekends ago, my wife was out riding and it was getting late again. I sent her a message asking if she was getting dinner while she was out. She responded with a simple, "Yeah, I'm good. Thank you, love heart emoji." I was kind of hoping that she'd give me a little more detail as it was getting dark out. Some time passed, and I responded by saying, "Sweet, I'm gonna be home for the night. What you up to?" I didn't get a reply, so I followed up with, "I really dislike when you don't care to tell me what you're doing out on a Friday night." Maybe this was a little forward of me, but she knows how frustrated I get in this situation that we've dealt with so many times in the past. This made her very upset, and we ended up text arguing. She then gave me a TTYL and said that she was going to keep riding her bike. Naturally, I kept texting. After a few messages, she responded by saying, "I'm trying to drive my damn bike and you're blowing up my phone with this, which is uncalled for. I don't breathe down your neck asking your every move and respect and trust you, so please do the same. It's exhausting." I had a hunch she was not riding. Maybe what I did next was uncalled for, but I drove over to her favorite late-night eatery/bar and walked inside. She was sitting at the bar. Her bike was parked outside, and I put my hand on the exhaust. It was cold. Less than 10 minutes had passed since she told me that she had to slam on the brakes to respond to my messages. There just was no way an exhaust can cool down that quick. Once again, maybe I crossed the line here, but I felt severely betrayed. I went home not long after I sent a quick message that I knew where she was. We argued about this big time. We made amends, and she told me that she would be better about checking in with me in the future. That's not the white lie though, but simply a precursor. Up next is the real issue that I am dealing with. This past weekend, she was out at a local cafe/bar doing some work. She was being really good about checking in with me, but it kind of festered out as the night progressed. She told me that she was going over to her office to finish off some work, and that was the last that I heard of her. I was heading home for the night after a late gym sesh and called her to check in. She did not answer after the first call and called me back a few minutes later. While we were chatting, I could hear others in the background. She was talking kind of weird. After a minute or so, she told me that she was getting a call and had to pick it up right away. I kind of understood as the importance of that call was something that affected the both of us. We're in the process of buying a new home, and the seller's agent was calling. I was expecting a call back with some news, but the call was never returned. An hour had passed, so I called her back to see what she had learned about our offer. She didn't answer, but responded with a text, "Call you in a few." When she called back, I could tell that she was in her car. She started telling me about all the stuff she had learned and how long of a conversation it was. How she also called our lender to check some numbers. It really didn't add up, and I was sensing some plot holes. I asked, "Where were you when I called?" She said, "Well, I'm driving now. I pulled over to talk to the seller's agent." I said, "If you pulled over to talk to him, why could I hear people in the background when I called you?" She didn't have an answer, and I let it slide. It felt so off. When I saw her later that night, I told her that I just want to be able to feel like she can tell me the truth. I was hoping that she would come clean, but it never happened. Now to today. I checked our phone records because I just couldn't shake the events that evening. Not at all to my surprise, she had lied to me. After my call to her, there were no other calls. She had pretended that someone was calling to get off the phone with me. When I confronted her, she said that she was hanging out with friends and just wanted to enjoy herself, and it was easier to just lie so that she wouldn't have to face my reaction. I was so hurt at this lie. She's not great with apologies and slapped together an "I'm sorry I lied to you." The problem I face is that there is always a follow-up. She told me that she feels the need to lie because I'm insecure. I also need to trust her more, and it always feels like I never give her room to breathe. I need to work on myself more and be more confident and trusting. It all seemed like justifying her lie. Like somehow it was my fault. It was not a great conversation, and neither of us was getting any point across. All I know is that I feel betrayed yet again, and I don't know how I can trust her. I also feel terrible that she couldn't simply admit that she was wrong and follow up by making it about my insecurities. Am I wrong here? I genuinely don't know what to do. We haven't talked since, and I could use some advice. Thank you to all who sat through this one. In the comments, put on location tracking. She just honestly says at the start what she's gonna do and when she'll be back, and only text when she deviates from it. That way, there is no need to keep communication going, which I understand can be smothering for her, and you know where she is at all times. You both seem to have an issue, and both don't listen to each other and fixate on their own. Search for a solution for both issues together as a team. Like the one that I mentioned, perhaps. OP replies, "I appreciate this suggestion. I recommended the location tracker previously, only when she's out late riding. She did not like the suggestion, and it never ended up happening." Another commenter says, "I would bet my paycheck that she has a boyfriend. I would not buy a new house with your future ex-wife. You are being taken for a ride. Put a GPS tracker on her bike, and you will see. You should have walked into the bar and saw what's up." OP says, "So I did actually walk into the bar. She appeared to be sitting there alone. I didn't hang around long, though. The thought of a GPS tracker has crossed my mind, but I've never followed through with it." Another commenter says, "You are right to feel betrayed. Your wife is repeatedly lying to you. Very likely far more than you're aware. You were quite right not to trust her. She has proven herself untrustworthy. You must also know that there is a considerable chance that she is having an affair. The fact that she is not truly apologetic and trying to make it about you would be the final nail in the coffin for me. It's hard for us to judge. Maybe you are insecure. But at the least, she's given you plenty of good reason for that insecurity. Given the lack of remorse, it is hard to see how trust can ever be rebuilt. Do you have kids? If not, I would be out of there immediately. And OP says, thanks for your insight. No kids. Another commenter asks, what does better communication look like to you? How often would you want her to text you while out? Are you looking for firm plans established before she goes out? Constant play-by-plays of what's going on? Just curious what ideal communication would look like here for you. OP says, honestly, one sincere and complete message of what she is up to would suffice. I.e., hey husband, I'm gonna be here with these people. I'll be home around midnight. I'll let you know if anything changes. It never seems to be this direct. Often it's snippets of plans and then silence. Then I check in and she gets upset. I think it's coming across as me nickel and diming, but really, I'm just trying to put together the fragments of information. Back up to the post, there's an edit. So a few weeks have passed since I wrote this, and I wanted to offer an update for those who requested one. To cut to the chase, we are getting a divorce. Honestly, experiencing this gamut of emotions has been excruciating to say the least. I wish this on no one. When I was fielding your much-needed replies, I was staying at an Airbnb to give us time away from one another. She was livid at first, but she quickly realized the importance of time away. I myself had plenty of time to reflect on many of the responses here and spent all my free time journaling to work out my thoughts. I returned home after a week and we had our heart-to-heart. Much to my surprise, we both came forward equally with the proposition to separate. Now, I don't believe she was cheating, and I don't think it's a substance dependency. These were suggestions that seemed to percolate to the top of this thread. Perhaps I am naive as well, but at this point, it no longer matters. Regardless, what we have here is a textbook case of two people who aren't right for one another. We have fought hard to save our marriage over the years, and quite honestly, the feeling of failure is the hardest part to cope with. Beautiful memories of our early time together surface in waves and manifest as tears. Her and I have grieved this loss at different times and in different ways. There will always be the doubt and questioning of, could we have made it work? Hopefully the years will reduce the doubt to a whisper. In conclusion, we are both amicable at this phase, and hope to continue a friendship into the future. That is, a friendship not carried over from a previous marriage, but one rebuilt from scratch. In some ways, I can sense our relationship already healing and improving. I hope this may be a predictor of the future. I am about to close on my own home soon. There is a subtle undertone of fear in the loneliness ahead, but I can see that quickly becoming eclipsed by the opportunity to rebuild myself. I look forward to the journey in growing and learning to love who I am as an individual. I wish her the best as well. Thank you to everyone whose insight helped me work through such a difficult time. OP. I guess there's not too much that I can really say about that one, but there is a further update to this situation, so I am going to hold my tongue. I don't think it's a repeat of that edit. I think it goes over more of what is happening and more of what had happened in that update. To me, this is very much a situation of, there is a problem, we have worked through it, you continue to lie, and you continue to dismantle all the work that both of us have worked hard to build up in these couples counseling sessions. I feel for OP. I know that he has done wrong in the situation as well, but I really feel like she has done so much more wrong. She's the one instigating. She's the one continuously lying. I feel very much hard-pressed to say that OP has done anything wrong in this situation, but OP himself says that he has done wrong and he recognizes that, so I will take him at his word. But when she continuously lies about everything and there are constant plot holes when she's out of the house, How can you trust someone like that? How can you ever feel secure in your relationship with this person? They don't want to spend time with you by the sounds of it, and they don't want to tell you what they're up to in a genuine capacity. They just continuously lie. Like, a relationship and a marriage is built on trust. If there is no trust, there is no relationship. I don't blame OP at all for breaking it off with her. Anyway, let's see what the update says. And now, on to the update. Wife fed me a little white lie, and now we're getting a divorce. Found a box of used condoms in her trash today. Hello all. I wanted to offer one last update on this saga that is my failed marriage. We both amicably decided to separate, so I thought. Admittedly, it was a healthy choice for the both of us, and from what I just experienced, I'm only more confident moving forward and finding my peace. In short, I've always been the consistent income. Her industry is seasonally dependent, and as much as I wanted to just leave, I knew I couldn't just ditch her to figure out survival on her own. Initially, she had suggested that we separate but live under the same roof until next May. This would have given her the safety and confidence to push into her busy summer months. Of course, I said hell no, as I felt that was a crazy suggestion. For one, there is absolutely no way that wouldn't further poison our already toxic relationship. Second, I really saw the need to break away so that I could heal and rebuild my life, which had effectively been decimated. I decided to buy my own house, but I offered to stick around financially until she could earn the funds that she needed to start her new life. We had been cordial for the week or so that I finally closed and was settling in. Dare I say, becoming friends. My new house was barren, and I quite literally celebrated the purchase of a new couch. As a side, you really don't appreciate a comfortable place to sit after a long day of work until all you have is a wooden bar stool and a worn-out rug from your old home. We had continued to show each other little acts of good faith, but after a few days, communication went dark. To be expected, I guess. I was loving the serenity of my new home and was beginning to experience a love for myself that I haven't felt in years. Honestly, not having to talk with her brought a sense of relief. One item that I wanted to be sure was made right was a water heater leak at her house, my old house, which I still own. I noticed when I moved out. I called a plumbing company to take care of it, as I have a busy work schedule. Admittedly, it breaks my heart to even enter that home, and I was just as much avoiding that. Sadly, the plumbers cancelled twice, and I was getting impatient. I figured that I would just handle it. I let her know that I would be dropping in, and she was more than okay with it. I'm a decent plumber, and I knew that it would be quick work. I arrived on site and diagnosed a pinhole leak. I drained the lines, cut the damaged section, and whipped together the repair. Voila! Her trash can was in the garage, and naturally, I needed a place to toss the wreckage of my plumbing job. When I opened the lid, what do I see? A whole-ass box of used condoms. I was shocked, my heart sank. I had been out of that house barely a week, still legally married, and here I am fixing her house and offering the financial support that she needed to move on. I knew that in my gut that I no longer wanted to be a part of this. I needed to be free of this misery. I texted her a photo of the water heater with a "good as new. If you wouldn't mind, just keep an eye on it for the next day or so." She eventually texted back a thank you. I told her to call me tomorrow so that we could chat. My heart was racing for hours. I had felt some insane lows this past month, but this was the absolute worst. I wasn't ready to talk to her. I needed food. I was spent. Well, she called. She has a real anxiety about call me kind of texts. In a way, I knew this, but I genuinely needed the night to sleep and collect myself. Phone rings, and guess we're doing this, I told myself. I started the conversation by letting her know the water heater is good to go, but she may want to have a professional take a look within the year. Followed by, the next part of this conversation will be difficult. I did not directly tell her that I knew that she was already hooking up with someone new. I only saw my own destruction in making it my business or even thinking of it. All I said was, I know you've moved on, and I know how you've chosen to do so. I then told her that I was removing myself from all shared accounts and she will need to figure it out from here. Boy, was she livid. What was that term that you guys taught me in the first post? Darvo? Yeah, lots of that. Tons of gaslighting, followed by name-calling and accusations. She even insulted my character, telling me that she thought that I took pride in being a person of honor and respect. What? She kept alluding to how she thought that we had agreed to being allowed to have our needs met, quote-unquote. I didn't say it outright, but I really think that she had twisted what an actual need is. How about financial security? How about a soft landing with your husband of 10 years that you claimed to want to remain friends with? So why am I writing this? A couple of reasons. For one, it's the end of my tale. This is the worst I will ever feel about this. It's only healing and growing from here. Second, a lot of Redditors believe that she was cheating in my last post. I didn't have any reason to believe this, but after how quickly she jumped on some dick immediately after me moving out, maybe y'all weren't far off. Third, kind of to vent I guess, I also had to put down my cat with cancer hours ago. My God, what a day. Either way, I am so glad to leave that toxic mess behind. I want so desperately to believe that I'm making the right call to cut all ties. But I wonder, did she owe it to me to try and put off her urges until we split finances? I'd be curious to hear others' thoughts. I hope to learn and gain from any and all input. Needless to say, this will be my last post for the foreseeable future. Thank you all for your insight as I have pushed through my story. In the comments, quote, a whole ass box of used condoms, I was shocked, my heart sank. I had been out of that house barely a week, still legally married. Brother, I know it stings right now, but if she is this quick to physically move on from you, then you need to do yourself a favor and emotionally move on. That also means emotionally cutting her off, and cutting her off from everything else, financially et al. It would also indicate that she probably had someone already lined up before the divorce. Maybe even before, possibly. All speculation, but boy is that a quick turnaround time. Figure out the house, figure out the divorce. Only talk to her about those things, and for the divorce, do it through your lawyer as much as possible, without charging you. Move on. OP replies, all of this. I spent so many years being gaslit, and I feel like I can finally see through it all. I really wish I could ask if this was someone that she had been with, or if it was just some kind of a fling. The question alone would only cause more suffering, and knowing her, it would be an answer that couldn't be trusted anyway. Someone says OP needs to get therapy. OP replies, therapy is 100% in my future. My reality has been so distorted by this woman. When asked, has OP been able to find proof regarding his wife's possible infidelity? He says, I've tried so hard to find proof, but I never could. After a while, I just started worrying that I was grasping for straws. I may never know at this point. It would be poison to continue seeking answers. Another commenter says, some people use condoms on the toys that they use solo. OP says, this may be true, but she admitted to having already moved on with another man to have her needs met. And OP, on splitting the properties from the divorce, says, we agreed to quit claim our respective properties. The house she will be keeping has a ton of equity built up. If our assets get split 50-50, I will end up better than our current arrangement. I understand why OP is so upset from finding the box of condoms, and I think this is a sign to distance yourself emotionally as much as possible, as fast as possible, because holding on to that after she's already done you so wrong will not do you any good, OP. Take the advice of the comments going forward and just keep everything through the lawyers. Who cares if she is financially fucked by you doing that? She doesn't deserve your good graces after everything that she has put you through. I don't care about her. I don't think you should care about her. I know that's much easier said than done, but please, God, protect yourself. Yet again, another situation where someone is in a financially precarious situation and decides to stab themselves in the foot knowing that they are the ones that are fucked if everything comes crashing down. Yet for some reason, the person in the financially vulnerable situation decides to do this. I don't understand why this keeps happening. I'm fascinated by it, but OP, please stop falling for her manipulation and just get the hell out of there as fast as possible. Thank you for the story. Thank you for the update. Good luck going forward. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for you today. I do hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.